Galilean nearest the rail, Improbable in the center. Extra Hope is between horses, and Improbable slingshots to the front. Improbable now a length and a half in front. Long Range Toddy is running a very big one in the center of the track. Improbable, Long Range Toddy trying to gun him down. Improbable, here's Long Range Toddy.
All right, welcome back to Racing Rundown. We got a preview video today for a race that really does not matter at all in the scope of what else is going on in the thoroughbred racing world with Royal Ascot this week, but I thought, why not make a preview for the Ohio Derby Grade 3 race being run this Saturday. It's a very interesting field, to say the least. Now, it's not overly populated with, I don't know if populated is the right word, but it's not going to have a lot of the top 3-year-olds, but it's got a lot of solid horses in it. Most notably, you got Owendale won the Lexington Stakes, was third in the Preakness last time out. Long Range Toddy, winner of one of the divisions of the Rebel Stakes, then was 16th in the Kentucky Derby. Not the best performance by him, but you can make the argument that he was severely affected by maximum security. Now, how much his placing is increased if that incident with maximum security doesn't happen is beyond me. I think it's ludicrous to say that Long Range Toddy was going to run particularly well from that point in the race when he got interfered with on. To say that, I think, is ridiculous, but, you know, Long Range Toddy was interfered with, and I'm not going to continue to make my case for the maximum security disqualification. I've beaten that horse to death, so we're going to move on from that. Global Campaign won the Peter Pan Stakes. I think he's the best horse in this field. And then you also have Bethlehem Road, a son of Quality Road, was first in the Parks Derby last time out. So, and then you also have Math Wizard, who was fourth in the Oaklawn Invitational. So it's an interesting field. Probably that's as much as I would describe it in. It's a deep field with a bunch of solid 3-year-olds. I would not put any of these horses. Maybe Global Campaign, I haven't seen him against higher level competition, so maybe reserving a little bit of judgment on Global Campaign, but I would not put Owendale, Long Range Toddy, or Bethlehem Road, the other 3 stakes winners in this race, in the same category as any of the horses like Maximum Security and Omaha Beach. And I'm going to start saying Maximum Security and Omaha Beach because I think those are the 2 best horses, or excuse me, best 3-year-olds. Maybe you could throw in War of Will, but I'm not going to say Country House because Country House, first of all, isn't running for the rest of the year, and Country House was never really that good. But so you got a deep field of talented 3-year-olds that I would say they're in the level of very solid. I didn't get to talk about the last couple of episodes, Mr. Money, who I think Mr. Money is a very solid Grade 3 horse. I think he's the type of horse that is going to be able to rack up wins in Grade 3 races like the past 2 that he won, the Matt Win and the Pat Day Mile, which was the undercard for the Kentucky Derby. So I think that's the type of horse that Mr. Money is, and I think that's what generally, maybe reserving a little bit of judgment on Global Campaign, because I think, you know, I'll give Global Campaign a chance to run against the better horses in this country if that's what the connections decide to do. If they think that their horse is best served running in these kind of lower level Grade 3 races, then good for them. If Windstar decides that, then good for Windstar. But I think Long Range Toddy, Owendale, Bethlehem Road I don't think is anything super special, but I think these are all solid horses. You know, Owendale won a Lexington Stakes against a pretty average field. That field wasn't the most spectacular. And then Long Range Toddy won the Rebel Stakes against Improbable, who Improbable was coming off a pretty long layoff in that race. And not that I'm making a case for Improbable being anything special. I didn't buy into him after the Kentucky Derby, and making him the favorite I thought was not necessarily laughable because, you know, the connections of Improbable kind of warranted giving that horse respect. But I think Improbable is nowhere near the horse that he was once thought to be. So Long Range Toddy beat Improbable, who probably wasn't
Ghost.
100% in that race, not saying physically, but was off a long layoff and just wasn't in the right frame of mind, if that's the right way to describe it. I think that, you know, he was in the lead by a considerable margin, and as a young 3-year-old just kind of got bored out there, and that Long Range Toddy and John Court were able to catch him. And then Global Campaign won a Peter Pan Stakes against a field that included a Belmont Stakes winner, Sir Winston. So, you know, that's why I'm reserving judgment on him, because Global Campaign could possibly be a good horse. You know, they're probably just going in the Ohio Derby because they didn't want to go with him in the Belmont Stakes, because it was, they said it was too soon between races, and that's a perfectly legitimate reason for not wanting to do that. Props to the Connections for having the horse's best interests in mind. But I think Global Campaign, I will take him to win this race, but I like Long Range Toddy a lot. So the two horses that I would pick for this race are either Global Campaign or Long Range Toddy. I'll tend to lean towards Global Campaign because I think he's just a little bit more classy and has generally a little bit more talent, but Long Range Toddy, I would not be surprised if he wins, and I really like him in this spot. And this is the race that I thought was a very good place for Long Range Toddy to pick up after that 16th in the Kentucky Derby. So that's it for this video. Like I said on Tuesday in the podcast, if you have a question for Gary Stevens, we did not have our interview with him. If you have not seen the podcast yet, that interview video is not coming because we did not have the interview. We could not get consistent cell phone service throughout the entire interview. So that interview will be happening on Wednesday, and I will post the video of it on Thursday. So if you have a question for Gary Stevens, whether it's a comment or a DM or an email, you can email me on racingrundownpodcast@gmail.com, or DM me on Twitter, Instagram, even YouTube, or comment on this video or a couple of the recent videos. If you have a question for him, feel free to do that. I will do my best to facilitate asking him that question. But also, we do have a new guest, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to do these interviews, but our next guest after Gary, and probably sometime in between Gary and Jay Pribman. I still don't know when Jay Pribman's going to come on the show, but he will be on the show at some point this summer. But we do have Oaklawn Park track announcer and former Hollywood Park track announcer Vic Stauffer, one of my favorite race callers to listen to on the podcast at some point. Or not on the podcast, just coming on the show at some point. Originally what I wanted to do with it is have interviews in the actual podcast, but I think I'm going to keep interviews separate from everything else. That's probably the way that things are going to work out for me. But Vic Stauffer, next guest on the show, very excited for that. That will be sometime in probably early July, and I think between the Gary Stevens and Jay Pribman interview, but I'll keep you guys posted on that. So once we figure out the logistics, I think by tomorrow I'll have a date set out for that. So I'll let you guys know, but we got Vic Stauffer on the podcast too. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Campaign turns for home in front in the Peter Pan. Federal Case gives way on the inside. Final Jeopardy trying to come on in the center. Intrepid Heart not today. And now from the back of the pack, Sir Winston is getting going too, and he's rolling down the center of the racetrack. Coming down to the final 16th. It is Global Campaign holding on to the lead. Sir Winston trying hard late, but not going to catch Global Campaign, who won the Peter Pan.